Hi, welcome back to the Jac and Glen channel. I'm Jackie.
And I'm her husband, Glenn.
He's my husband, Glenn.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews. Also, check out the link in the description for some Jac and Glen merchandise. Also, make sure you check out the link for our Matrimony Thoughts podcast as well. Let's get into it. Season 13, episode 6 of Married at First Sight.
Episode 6, but we still haven't gotten past the honeymoons.
Well, hey,
we're rounding it up.
We're wrapping them up, and we're getting ready to get back to Houston. But we got to take care of the honeymoons, the last 2 days of the honeymoon. Because we start on day number 5. And we're going to start with a couple that you will not see that much in this episode. Michaela and Zac. We see a little bit about Michaela and Zac. Michaela's back home in Houston. They're doing a little FaceTime thing. She says she really misses her husband.
And he misses her.
And he misses her. And he wished that, that he could be with her. But he think this was the best thing for them to be separated as possible. But we also see later on that the other cast members are really taking care of Zac a little bit. They stop by and check on him. Ryan and Brett threw him off some beers. Jose, Rachel, Myrla, and Gil stopped by and talked to him and told him if he needs anything, he can get it.
And before that, when they were all there together, they did FaceTime.
Yeah. And
he's laying in bed with no shirt on. It was like, wow, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He ain't got no shirt on. I mean, obviously he's working through his fever.
Yeah.
So he's chilling. He had a taco meat out.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's taco meat out, but he's chilling, he's relaxing. They're working on their own thing, and he mentioned, he hopes that them being apart, when they get together, all he wants to do is spend time with Michaela and try to regain time that he's missed. It sucks that he's been a party of one, and like everybody's having a good time. But he said this, in which I thought he really meant it. He didn't get into this for the honeymoon, but he got into this so he can be married. And so he has a good mindset to, I know we missed the honeymoon, but I'm going to make it up to her later.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it up to her, and we're going to do the thing the right way.
Yep, that's what he said.
That's what he said. So that's all with Zac and Michaela. He had his nice N95, whatever it is, mask on.
I think that was a regular mask because the way it was made.
Okay, you would know. I mean, he just had a good mask on.
Yeah, he did. He talking to them from the balcony.
Which, I don't know why. You still got your mask on. He's 30 feet away.
But I think he's used to having it on in there because he doesn't want to spread it around the room. But from what we know about hotel stays and COVID, the hotel staff is not coming to your room that much.
Not till you check out,
they're not coming till you check out. So the chance of him spreading it, I don't know.
Yeah, but no.
Maybe for the camera people.
He's doing his own camera work. I'm sure the people that was filming, I'm sure the producers that was attached to him and Michaela went to get tested, probably quarantined.
But I'm saying, in case he comes in contact with somebody, that's why he's working.
Yeah. He's getting all the room service he wants. 3 days, 3 meals.
He have to get room service.
You gotta get room service. Leave it at the door. But anyway.
All right.
Let's move on.
So, Bao and Johnny. All right. So we see them the next morning. Remember they had a conversation before about the pillow fort. Can they get rid of the pillow fort? And the pillow fort was still there.
It is still.
But I don't think but it's not to keep them apart. I think it's just his body pillow. He's comfortable with it. It's not.
My body pillow will be Bao.
He's not. I think he's still not sure that she wants to be his body pillow.
I'm not talking about be all cuddled up and toes intertwined and legs intertwined, but at least my arm will be over here and I'm laying on that little skinny body of hers. But I'm just saying.
Don't do Bao like that.
I'm just saying, he can at least, it'll fit one of the ones like you sleeping. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even know my arm was over there. I'm sorry. He could have done anything, but I wouldn't have to. Look, you married, not to have the body bridge in front of you.
Yeah, I don't know. But as they awaken later, she brings up the conversation they had about her snoring. And mainly it was because, she felt self-conscious about talking about it. But she appreciated the fact that he let her talk. And he listened, and he gave her feedback and was like, okay, I understand.
But that's one thing I like about them. They do have great conversation. They do listen to each other. And Bao can read Johnny already. She knows kind of what he's thinking, how he feels, or she's very, she picks up on things real quick. And we'll see that later on when we talk about the other discussion they had. She like, I know you wasn't feeling this, and I know you wasn't doing that. So she picks up on a lot of that stuff, which I like.
Yeah, Johnny said his concern is that when and if they have an argument, not even if, when they have an argument, it'll be about little petty stuff. And he says, his gut, this is the point where he feels like I will run. If it's something I notice, he said, so his urge to run is being contained by the fact that he has this ring on.
Yeah, but the fact
which is telling him to stay.
Which is good. I mean, he recognizes that, but I think sometimes going into this thing, your relationship, and the girls talk about it, the women talk about it later, because you're on these date naps and everything, you put all these superficial criteria in there that you want, and you may get, may not get it, that when you actually get the person, you can't run. You're grown now. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to figure this thing out.
Well, what Val actually said
was,
let's
not run. Let's work it out. We're committed. So the running aspect of it, that's why you're not married now, because you always run. You didn't even know how that relationship would turn out, but you're running away from it.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bump in the road.
What Val said later was, the superficial things that we thought we needed, you find out you don't need.
Yeah.
Because there's something deeper. And yeah, like you said, if you get caught up in these little things off the top, you're missing what could be down the road.
You could be missing what's down the road. That relationship could blossom,
Mm-hmm. They talk about attraction and intimacy, and she said, I was surprised. Val says she's normally the type to move slow emotionally, and physical will be the thing that she gets into first, because that's easy. I don't know why that surprised me about her. She wanted a Nobel Prize winning type of guy. Like, she wanted but I'm like,
Val has needs.
Yeah, but we all have needs. But I'm just saying, she just didn't, for what she talked about, how she was so disappointed about him being a sports enthusiast, and him not thinking that equated to him not being smart. Like, you want somebody that's so intellectual and intelligent and smart, and that's you, but you're so not smart when it comes to...
She wanted somebody to lay pipe. She used to somebody laying pipe. And what I'm saying is this. My point, she wanted the opposite of what she's used to. And she want this relationship to be the opposite of what she's used to. What she used to. So that's why she's moving so slow with Johnny, to make sure it's my marriage now. I want to make sure that this is real, and I've messed up in other relationships by giving them my body first. So I want to make...
Oh, yeah, no. I'm not saying I have a problem with that. My thing is, I was surprised that she was the type to get into the physical first, normally. That surprised me, considering everything else we've learned about Val.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
And not to me, no surprise. I'm not surprised, because she is, Val's a partier.
But she says she's very attracted to Johnny. She's had a crush on him for a long time. And he says, I think if you had told me back then that you had a crush on me, we might not have gotten to this point. We would have hooked up before now.
And they might not be married.
And so the question, maybe, and the issue, he said, well, and if that was the case, you think we'd have had kids by now? And Val was like, I don't know.
I'm gonna say why, because they was both younger. And if you look how they are now, that might have been a big turnoff for them. Now they're a little bit more established. And even now, them being established and where they're at may be a turnoff for them later down the line. With her Excel sheets and him being meticulous and everything has to be dressed and all that, had an opportunity to mess that up when it was younger. Mm-hmm. So now I think they might be in a better place for them to grow, because they're more established. And they even talk about that a little bit later, how when Val gets into him about moving back to Houston and living with somebody, she was like, you haven't lived with anybody 7 years, so you're stuck in your ways. Mm-hmm. I've had a roommate and I know how to live with somebody. You haven't done it in 7 to 8 years, so you're just real strenuous with what you like and how you like it and when you like it and when you want it and how to do some things. And that's been their whole discussion throughout this, as we go throughout the rest of recapping about Johnny. That was kind of their whole discussion. Yeah. Johnny likes things a certain way. We know that he's a perfectionist. I think that's one of his things. His might be perfectionist, right? Oh no, that was Jose's. Whatever they got.
No, I mean he got it too. He's picky.
He's picky. So he's very picky, and he wants things certain ways, and will be their downfall.
Yeah, which goes back to the thing. I feel like we'll argue about petty stuff that's petty to me, because we'll jump ahead too, because that whole conversation was, she was like, Which in the preview they try to make it sound like it was like a kind of nasty thing, and it wasn't.
No.
It's like she said, I don't bathe on a regular basis, but her not bathing on a regular basis was part of it was being lazy and tired after I get home from work, and I get home from working out. I might not feel like getting in the shower because I'm tired, I'm worn out. The other part she said was, there have been times when I didn't feel like getting out of the bed. If you don't feel like getting out of the bed, obviously you don't feel like getting in the shower. And so she was like, it's been, you bathe 3 times in a day. It might be, I might get that in a week or 2.
So look, Johnny brought, like, I'm just using my math. He done brought 21 pair of drawers on this trip.
Hopefully.
Hope you
don't put the same drawers on.
I'm gonna say he doesn't, because if he bathes and he showers, and he's sweaty, hopefully he's not putting the same underwear back on.
I hope so, yes.
But I use that in saying that
most people wouldn't, but I mean,
most people wouldn't. But use that in saying that this guy has packed this. He's very clean. So if he's like this on a honeymoon, can you imagine when he get back home? Because you know how it is. Y'all do it. We do it. We stay in a hotel. You're not as neat as you would do in your own home. Some people are. Some people use the little stand, put the little luggage up. My suitcase sits on the floor or on the ottoman, or in the closet if I gotta hang suits up. Depends on where I'm at and what I'm doing. So you're not as neat as you were. But
he's
now
not talking about us.
I'm not talking about us. You splice all everything.
I have
you
to
spray everything down.
I ain't even talking about that. Like I don't leave because. Side note, I don't leave stuff all over the place in a hotel room because when it's time to go, I want to know everything's together. And that's how we do. Okay, that's what you put stuff back. Here's a bag, put your dirty clothes in. Put that together so that when we're leaving, everybody ain't like, "Oh my God, I left so and so in the room."
Yeah,
so
you can't kick nothing to the bed. So we make sure everything's nice. So if he's like that, no, we don't. The kids now, but no, not the kids. But when he's stuck here in this. You know what I'm saying? He's stuck in the mindset of, okay, I have a routine, and I need you to, even though we're here, I need you to follow this routine.
Absolutely.
So if you don't take a shower, you can lay in the bed, but I need you to change the sheets.
But she didn't. She seemed reluctant to say that. She was like, "Oh, what if I'm too lazy to do the sheets?"
What if I'm too lazy to wash the sheets? But he doesn't want her to lay in there nasty and sweaty. And you can feel the sheets. He said, "But how about I lay on the couch?" He was like, "Nah, not really."
Because I want you to be in the bed with me.
I want you to be in the bed with me.
But I still don't have my pillow for it.
But then he like, "Can you just wash up?" Well, I don't feel like
rinse off.
Yeah, rinse off. I don't feel like rinsing off. So I understand her being tired, and we had this conversation with one of our children. When you come from working out or practice, I need you to go straight and get in the shower. Don't forget.
Well, you will want to. I feel like Johnny, you can at least rinse off. I'm not saying do no deep clean, but get the sweat off of you.
No, you're gonna have to get a deep clean.
But no, what I'm saying is, he's trying to compromise. Okay, so you don't want to just. Who want to go to bed sweaty? I guess that's my other thing. I ain't never been that tired.
Nobody. Nah, but he's not. She's not talking about going to, like, taking a nap. If she used to it in her own way, that's her own stuff, right? So I'm used to laying on my sheet. I'm tired. I'm just laying on the couch and go to sleep. But the one that got me was that when she said I come home from work and I go lay in my bed with my work clothes on and go to sleep. I know people are tired. I fell asleep coming home from work and right. Maybe on the couch, but I did not get into the bed with the covers with my work clothes on. You quiet? Oh, no, I have not. I
didn't say anything.
Your quietness said a whole bunch. Your being silent said a whole bunch.
It's not about us. It's about Val and Johnny. So, anyway.
no.
So,
anyway.
I just want to go back a little bit because we jumped ahead because we were talking about the cleanliness. And again, where they have some differences. But the other thing that we other people noticed, and Johnny and Bao said it too, is that they talk about stuff. And so after they had their conversation about them being attracted and who will run, Johnny said, I have to be honest with you. Again, it seems like you're not 100% in a moment. I want you to be 100% in a moment with me. I want to feel like you're here and in this for me. And she said she could tell when they talked before, like you said, she's very intuitive. She could tell that he was kind of disturbed with the conversation they had before. And she said she has a problem with overthinking. And so in a moment, she's thinking about all the ifs, ands, buts, what ifs, what coulda, woulda, shoulda. And so she said, I'm going to be more conscious and try to be in the moment. And that's what they did when they went. Is that, what was that? Parasailing? Is that considered parasailing? Did they say what it was?
With this thing, it's parasailing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was conscious and purposeful in that moment to enjoy being with him. And, he appreciated that.
I like how they do adventurous things. I mean, just in general, married at first sight, put the couples to do adventurous things together to let them be vulnerable with one another and have that vulnerability. So I think that's good as well.
Yeah. All right. The last thing we want to say with Johnny and Bao, the biggest thing with them is that Johnny said he talked to his dad since they've been on a honeymoon. And he was kind of apprehensive about talking to his dad because his dad was the one like, no, I don't agree. I'm not going to be here. You shouldn't do it. And he said, which I think I said this in one of our reviews. He said he talked to his dad. His first question was, is she Asian?
Oh, you know this,
not
man.
That he was going to ask that, or that she would be Asian.
That he would ask that. I
said that.
His old school and traditional. That was the big.
Said that.
And I'm not that guy you see, but they're traditional.
Yes.
And Johnny's traditional. Bao's traditional, and I think they wouldn't have gave them any other person outside of someone who was Asian.
But I think I said that. I said I think if his dad found out that it was an Asian girl, that would make him feel more comfortable. I think that was his drawback. It's like, you're just gonna get a stranger, like some random, like, what if she doesn't agree with what if she doesn't understand our culture? And so the dad was like, is she Asian? And he was like, yes. And so dad was like, whew.
And then Johnny said he started telling dad more about Bao and how they met and all the whole thing. And dad was like, at the end, he gave his affirmation or his approval for Johnny. And Johnny was like...
He said he spoke something in Chinese, basically was like...
I'm relieved.
I
thought you were going to try to say the word.
No.
I thought you was going to...
I was going to say what it was loosely interpreted. He said it was like release of heart, which in English would be like, I'm relieved. And he told Johnny, I'm happy for you. Oh. And I think all that just came from, I told you, knowing that it was an Asian girl would, like Bao said, I know how to work on dads. I think he'll feel comfortable. And he hasn't even talked to her, and he's already good.
He's already good because the fact that she's Asian. He didn't want Johnny to bring anybody home that wasn't Asian.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to leave it right there for right now because I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting... Nope. That's a whole nother thing. Not touching it. Y'all won't let me... Not going there.
I mean... People have their preferences. Like you said, it's old school people. Whether it's Asian, whether they're African American. No, or not even. Let's even look at, for example, Myrla and Gil and Rachel and Jose. Mm-hmm. You might see that in Hispanic culture, where they only want. You see that.
You see that, yes.
Sure, you see that in Africa. Let's be real. You see that African American culture sometimes. I'll be real. You might see that in Caucasian culture sometimes. You see that with some people.
And you got different sayings. If she can't use your comb, don't bring her home. All type of stuff. All kind of stuff people say. But again, her dad, the Asian culture.
But you will find that a whole lot more. I've seen it a whole lot more in the Asian culture. They are really firm about marrying somebody else Asian. So that's why I say he feel more comfortable.
He feel more comfortable. That was good.
All right, so let's talk about Myrla and Gil.
Let's talk about Myrla and Gil. I like Myrla and Gil. And I'm on Myrla's side. So for right now.
Is it? Okay.
I'm not gonna say for right now I can see where she's coming from.
Yeah.
Because they get into the discussion a little bit later.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. Let's go there.
They get into the discussion later why she is the way she is.
Uh-huh.
And I know somebody like that. There is the way they are because of the way that they grew up. I'll be transparent. My mother's like that. My mother's like that. Right? So I understand that not having much when she was younger, and now because she can afford a lot of things, she has a lot of things. Now, does she act like Myrla? No. But when I go to her house, is there a lot of stuff there? that she doesn't need? Sure. There's a lot of things. Did my father say anything? I don't know. At this point, after all the years they've been married, what is he gonna say?
I'm not saying a word.
You're not saying a word.
I'm not contributing.
I can say that. Dad probably watched this. My father probably watched this. I don't know if my mom watched this. If my family members watch this, I love y'all. But she already knows. So my mother already knows. So.
But the biggest thing was, the difference is that as Myrla and Gil are talking about it, she was like, I grew up poor. I didn't grow up dirt poor. She said, but...
In her mind, she wasn't dirt poor, because I think when you live in a one bedroom house, 300 square feet with 4 people with a tin roof, that's kind of...
But she said it's not dirt poor. She said because I always had something to eat.
Always had something to eat.
A lot of times, when we're thinking dirt poor, it's like, dog, you struggling to eat every day.
Right.
Mama and daddy don't eat because the kids gotta eat. And there's only enough food. So she's saying in that respect, I wasn't dirt poor. She said, but I didn't have everything that I wanted. And what we find out is that Myrla had these high maintenance aspirations. Like she wanted stuff. She wanted in her poor status, she still had the diva thing. Like I always wanted nice stuff, and not even so much because I felt like I didn't have.
Yeah, because she just always wanted nice stuff. I mean, think about a young girl who's growing up and she wants to put on dresses and do her makeup every day, and she wants to play with dolls and she put on dresses. You're raising young ladies to be the princess. You talk about Cinderellas and all the young girls who go down to Disney World and dress up. You're kind of building that into them. And so when they grow up and become grown folks who are princesses, you really can't knock them because you developed that since they was a little kid. Mm-hmm. So she has been one. And when you see TV and you watch things, you know what? I want that. And then you have some people who both came, Myrla and Gil both came from humble beginnings. Mm-hmm. And Gil went to the route of, I want to give back. I want to live comfortable, but I want to give back. I don't need all that stuff to be happy. And I don't think she needs it to be happy. She likes it to be comfortable. And it's a difference.
Yeah, she just wants it. She said that. She said, I always wanted to shop. I always wanted stuff. Like, so she's a stuffed person. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, she gives back, like, we talked about before.
She gives back a lot. But I think, and a lot of us, growing up myself, I speak with me, growing up in humble beginnings or growing up not having a lot when I lived with grandmother for a while, and even live with my parents, growing up not having a whole bunch, you appreciate what you do have. When you do get it, and it's the mindset you have when you get there. You never want to go back to but you also enjoyed how you didn't know. That was the best part of my life. You know what I'm saying? You didn't look at yourself as being and having humble beginnings. You didn't look at yourself being on food stamps. You didn't look at yourself as being. You knew that you ate every day, that you had clothes every day, and you had so much fun. And I think Gil said that as well. Like, look, I didn't know I was poor mm-hmm. because when you looked around, everybody around you were in the same situation, and you guys had fun, you hung out, you played, you enjoyed it. Not until you was exposed to something different did you realize, like, dang, how did we make that?
Yeah. The one thing else I want to bring out there is, like, Myrla, they do a lot of talking. My husband and I talk about this. Gil and Myrla talk a lot.
Yes.
And so, traditionally, normally, you would think that makes for a good foundation relationship. But we found that last season, Haley and Jake talked a lot, but still didn't feel like they knew each other well enough. It didn't draw them closer to each other. But they could play the game and answer every question about each other.
Because it's different here. Look at it's kind of same thing.
It's just information. It was just informational for them.
Yeah, but they was already turned off because of the sex. They haven't had sex or kissed yet, so they're enjoying each other, and she's starting to let her walls down and feel more comfortable. If you watch the show, she laughed more this time. Mm-hmm. She's more enjoyable with the group around her. She was more open. She talked more. She even interacted with him more, so she's becoming comfortable. She's one of the people who she's not giving you her true self until she can trust you. And so she's starting to trust him. He spoke about that too. That like, oh, I see the walls, I see a crack. It's open, the doors are open a little bit. Mm-hmm. So she's starting to trust him more, and you can see the conversations are getting to be a little bit more deeper. They starting to interact with each other more. I'm sure a lot of you guys are not fans of her as of yet, but I can see where she's coming from and not wanting to go back. Because she said, even when I got on the children situation, do you know how much it is to raise 8 children? what he said was he wants 8 kids.
Yeah, he wants lots of kids because that's what I was gonna say. Myrla had 4. It was 4 of them.
Yes.
So Gil said, I have other siblings, but I was raised as an only child. And so I knew that when I got older, I wanted to have a big family, lots of kids, 7 to 8 kids. I'm not saying you got to have them all. If we have 1, 2, or 3, and then we can adopt some. And she was like, nope, not open to adoption.
Not open to adoption, but we'll get to that in 1 minute, because what she said was, I want to make sure I have, you want 8 kids. Do you know how much that costs to take care of 8 kids? So she's looking at the financial aspect of it, because again, if I want 8 kids, then we're gonna have to put some work in, because guess what? I don't want to have 8 kids and my lifestyle take a hit. Anything wrong with that? Hey, each his own. I don't see nothing wrong with that. That if we can afford to have 8 kids, let's do it. But I don't want my lifestyle I want to be able to take care of my kids, get them what they want, and be able to have that and maintain it.
And I think Gil's perspective is, I know that you don't have to have all of this to have kids. Right. So I'm not pressed. They're going to have their needs and wants met. So yeah, I think that is what she is, and it's not even so much. I think underneath that, what she didn't say is what you just said. It's having these kids are expensive, so I have to provide for them, but I also don't want to miss out on my Dooney and Burke bags, my Michael Kors, my Gucci, my Dior.
I want the kids because she wants kids. She mentioned she wants kids. She wants a family, but she wants a family and be able to still maintain her lifestyle and maintain the lifestyle that's for her kids, the same lifestyle where she's at.
And a side note, let's keep in mind too, when she said she wanted to have kids, she did say, wasn't she the one? It depends on what it does to my body, and the mommy make.
And she gonna get the liposuction afterwards, or the mommy makeover as they call it. But what she said about the adoption, she said we would. You just keep the slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race, and you're doing a wonderful job, wife. I'm so proud of you.
I said that's just for you. No, but they didn't even hear me.
I heard you though.
And you all loud about it.
I heard you. Someone mentioned you're doing a wonderful job at what you're doing.
Okay.
All right. Now, you messed me up. But anyway, he mentioned that she mentioned that on her vignette that she's not totally opposed to adoption, but she want to try everything else first before adoption's even on the table. Mm-hmm. So let's try to have kids naturally, do all that other stuff. If we can't, then we'll and I agree with her again. Let's see how we manage 1 kid, and then we can go to 2. Mm-hmm. Let's see how we manage 2 kids, and maybe we can go to 3. Let's not keep here trying to get all these babies popped out, because my body may not be able to take that. I may have complications, all that. I think some people get into that trap.
Yeah, and then only other thing I want to add with them is they had the last name conversation again.
Yes.
And she was like, because of what happened with my father and the connection with my father, I like to keep my last name. I like how it flows. I know in our culture some people hyphenate, and she's like, I don't know about that. But he said he had, in everything he thought about coming into this thing, that was the one thing he hadn't thought about is that he might have to compromise on his wife taking his last name.
And I understand that her father, the memory, and again, Gil is a very patient guy. He's been patient with her. He's working with her. He's learning her. I mean, to the point, even when they went to get ice cream and they had that little date, the gelato, and so the gelato, he's thoughtful. She has to realize that in conversations with him, that he's going to remember and do what she asked him to do. And he's taking mental note, because guess what? Men, and I'm just talking to the fellas here, we do that. We have to take mental notes. Because if they say they want this one time, that next time, take mental notes and try to do. I'm getting better. And over years, things change. Time change. Diets change. All kind of things change. So you have to get better.
But I like that for the women, keep in mind that they're not always not paying attention. Mm-hmm. Because with the thing, so the server comes out, I got some chocolate and vanilla for you, and she was like, is it ice cream? I don't do dairy. What is it? Yeah, it's probably melted by now. Blah 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 blah. And he was like, it's gelato. Is it vegan? I think so. It's gelato. And so then as she's eating it, she sat and she was like, oh shoot. He was actually paying attention, because I did say I wanted some gelato, and he was like, ding ding, And so later on, she proves to him, I'm listening too. And he comes back to the room. I don't know where he's coming from, but he was like, darling. And she was like, darling. Okay, come out here. Well, I know you like chocolate chip cookies. So she had a whole platter of chocolate chip cookies for him. And he said, this is like foreplay for me. He said, this and the little champagne or wine or whatever. He was like, oh, shucks.
And she was like, not having it. Like, foreplay.
But in turn, she showed him that I'm listening to
you. And even though I don't do the sugar thing, I'm going to let you enjoy your moment. Which, like I said, she's breaking the walls there. She's not totally bad. If you get, I'm talking about, if you get past the whole, I don't want to say superficial because that's who she is.
But that's superficial.
It's superficial.
To me, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like when you're a materialistic person, when you're caught up on material things, that is a superficial trait.
Alright, so when she get past the superficial stuff, she is down to earth, she laughs, she jokes, she interacts with him. Now that even though they're having a good moment with the cookies, it comes to this dog thing. He said when we get back, I hope that when we get home you were able to
get along with Hype.
Hype is this dog that he had since Hype was 6 months old. And
6 weeks.
6 weeks. And Myrla was like, I don't walk dogs. I'm not gonna walk them. I'm not mad at her. And he was like, well, because this is how
she said it's a waste of money to. He has a dog walker right now because she was like, well, who walks your dog now?
Yes.
That we're on vacation and when you're at work. He said, I have a dog walker. I pay for a dog walker, but I don't know where we're going to be staying at. The dog walker I have stays in my complex or whatever. And she was like, you could get another dog walker. He was like, that's a waste of money when I have a capable person that can do it. You got somebody that's capable. You got somebody that's able, but they not willing.
They're not willing. And so
go ahead and put your money
hire the dog walker. She's willing to help you. You already have a dog walker. To me, it would be an easy transition. Hey man, I'm moving. We're gonna stay here for a couple months. I got 8 weeks here. Can you pick up and walk Hype from here? Again, you don't even know her schedule yet. Mm-hmm. So we know that you work 24 hours, 2 days out of the week, 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever out the week. But you're trying to dictate her schedule to walk Hype. What if she's not able to walk Hype and Hype has to stay at home that much longer? Get a dog walker who's able to do it for you and see how the schedule works out. And he felt some type of way about that.
Because the main thing was that he's like, this is my dog. I love my dog. And we've had in the last season a whole bunch of dog stuff. But if you can't incorporate the dog, this is a part of me. If you can't incorporate that in, he was like, I don't know. It's going to be hard for me to, get with you or feel you like, because the dog is a part of me. Which I understand his point, and I understand her. And it's not like she just don't, well, I guess it is. Did she say I don't like dogs?
She don't deal with dogs. But if you already have a dog walker, let the person continue to walk your dog.
But even outside of that, besides walking a dog and feeding a dog, they're going to have a problem if she don't like dogs, period, because the dog stays in the place.
But I think they already discussed that because you're like, long as not hair and fur all over the place, we're good.
Yeah,
she's
but
fine.
Still.
Well, I mean, like I said, they talk about a lot of things. One thing they talked about, even that they knew when the couple was all together, was that he knew that Myrla had cheated. That she had cheated on a person before.
He's like, go ahead and drink. I already know this. We talked about
it. Yeah, go ahead and drink. I already know this. It's okay for you to drink. So they have a lot of discussions and they talk about a lot of things. So I like them two together. Hopefully they'll work out. As of right now. I don't think so, but right now they're going to work out.
Yeah. Rachel and Jose. Overcompensation at its best.
Mr. Touchy-Feely.
Oh my gosh, he's so, like, that would irritate me. Every time I take a breath, you want to give me a kiss. It ain't that much kissing in the world. Every time he woke up in the morning and it was like, good morning, I love you. Yeah, I'm not I love you, he ain't there yet, but I love did you have a good night's sleep? I like looking at your face. I'm like, gosh, can I breathe?
It's the honeymoon though. See, this is where I think people on the internet and everybody else, it's the honeymoon. He has time for all that. When they get back to real world, or not real world, when they get back to society, reality, I don't think all that's going to be there.
I think he's still going to be touchy-feely, and it's still going to irritate me. It's still going to irritate me, especially in the real world, in reality. Because when I come home from work, like, okay, hold on. Let me take my shoes off. Dog.
But again, there's nothing wrong with they're newlyweds. When they come home, he want to hug, he want to kiss, he wants the affection. I mean, I don't know if she's gonna do it when he gets home, but she wants affection because again, she's an even participant in this as well. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he's just forcing himself on her. She's willingly participating. Yeah. So she's touchy-feely as well. So right now it's cool.
I don't know.
As they said when they were all together, they're spicy, and they're spicy together. And so it's not like it's one being dominant and one's being too aggressive. They're all together.
I feel like to a certain degree, y'all let me know. I feel like to a certain degree, she's going with it because because most of the time he's initiating it. So I think she's just going with it.
But she could be like, not today, partner. Hold on for a minute. She did it.
But I don't think she will necessarily. That's what I'm saying.
So she only does that when it takes away her independence. When stuff takes away her independence. The romantic, the intimacy is good. Just don't take away my independence.
Because then you see the flip side when they had that conversation about physical intimacy. But we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. So I want to say this real quick. So he makes plans. All right, I'm going to compare Jose and Rachel with Myrla and Gil when it comes to this. So he made plans and they're going on a bike ride, Jose and Rachel. And she's like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to ride a bike. Jose and Rachel are the type where he can plan the spontaneous things and, it may not be something she's comfortable with, but like she's going to roll with him. Myrla and Gil, he said, I'm finding out that I could surprise my wife, but it still has to fit in these parameters. Or else I'm going to get 50 million questions like he did about the gelato, So he's like, I want to do stuff for my wife, Myrla and Gil. I want to do stuff for my wife, but I already know, like you said, I've already made these mental notes. You can't have onions. She don't do mayonnaise. It can't be dairy. No cheese. Can't do this.
I need a real beach. I mean, it's
whereas Jose and Rachel, she's a little more spontaneous with it because she does go bike riding, and she actually. For somebody that says they don't know how to ride a bike, I think she probably don't ride that well. Like she's ridden it before. Because she didn't get on it like she's never ridden. Yeah. So, he was like, oh no, you did good. I like that he was very encouraging of her. Hey, you want me to walk you down on a bike and I not ride this time? And
he's very supportive.
Yes. And in that conversation where he talks about we're going to go on bike ride, and she says, well, how about, I got some questions we want to get out. What are some things that you want to do before we have kids? Is there anything you want? And she was like, I want a trip. My dream trip is a trip to Switzerland. And you could see Jose's head going ching, 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 ching. All the dollar signs. You could see it, and then he said it. He was like, my thing is a trip to Switzerland, that's expensive. And even to do that before kids, knowing that you want to have kids, you're taking away from your pot of money that you would be saving that could go to the kids. So I would rather do something like Las Vegas. I'd do a trip, just not as expensive.
She wants to stuff.
He was calculating.
He's calculating. And so that's going to be their issue. Mm-hmm. They're going to have that conversation about money, where money goes, how to plan, how to strategize to get what we want. Not taking away her trip to Switzerland or taking away anything else. How can I get my trip to Switzerland, still maintain my budget, get myself out of debt, and plan for a family? Mm-hmm. It can all be done, but it has to be strategic, and you have to be disciplined to do it.
Because we find out, Jose says, I have a near perfect credit score. My credit score is 850. I was like, God, dog.
All that means is that he had a lot of debt. He paid the debt off, and all the debt that he has, he continued to pay. That's how your credit score is determined anyway.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, no, not me.
So the more debt you have and the more debt you pay off, the higher your credit score is.
Yeah, but she expressed she still talks about I'm independent. I take pride in my independence, but I do need help with this money thing. Like,
yeah.
But
you need help. Don't get any more debt.
She said, did you ask for somebody that was more like you when it came to money and your debt? And he was like, yeah, I did ask for somebody on my level. And she was like, well, do it make you feel some type of way that I'm not? He was like, I can help. He's like, basically, I can help you with that, though.
Basically, not if you're teachable, no.
Mm-hmm.
If I can teach you and help you, no. If you buck the system, like, what was that, Brett? Olivia did with Brett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna have problems.
Yeah.
And that was New Orleans season for those who are new.
Yeah. So the only other thing with them again is the independence thing and doing stuff. Like, he has a bottle he wants to open, and she's like, I can do that. You know, I used to be in catering, I open bottles all the time. He's like, okay, I'll let my wife do it. And she was like, you actually doing it wrong. He was like,
yeah, and he didn't mean any harm. He just wants to be supportive.
Was a joke, yeah.
He wants to be supportive. He wants to be a provider, and he wants to do things. And now she feels as if she takes that as a threat because he want to do anything. My question to you, we just watched this, was, when do a guy draw a line? Where's the fine line? A woman has to let him, you know, where's the line? Because again, you want a man to be a provider, you want to be a supporter, you want him to take care of you, and if he does it too much, you be like, you're suffocating me.
I think
So when do you find the fine line between that? Because a guy who wants to take care of flowers, I mean, let's be honest, a guy, you get a husband, and he at home, let me say husband, and you're working, and he take care of the dishes, he took care of the kids, he cooked the meal, he did everything, and you move on. Are you feeling some type of way? I'm not talking about you. Do you feel some type of way?
I said nothing.
Oh, you look.
No, because you were talking.
Oh, yo.
I look at you. I look at people when they talk.
But I'm saying, at what point is some people think it's too much. Like, all the stuff he's doing for her, is that just honeymoon stuff, or is it like overbearing? Or is it taking away your independence? Because the women talk about it later. Val said it again. You still, I think you still maintain your independence, but now you're bringing somebody else in to help you out. Or is he just supposed to get the oil change in the car and do all that stuff?
And that's what I was gonna say.
The gas in the gas tank.
I think for some women it's like, okay, so I want to be taken care of in that respect. Like, okay, I never have to take the trash out. He always takes the trash out. He puts gas in my car. My car never is on E. I haven't stopped at a gas station yet, or if it's stuff that needs to be done around the house, he takes care of the stuff around the house, So for some women it's those kind of things. Like, I want to be taken care of when it comes to that.
In this area.
But
in other areas,
if like, I don't want you picking out my clothes. Don't brush my teeth. No, she's saying basically, I don't want to be the type of woman, which is funny because Myrla kind of insinuates that, oh no, I do.
Yeah,
I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah.
I don't want to do nothing but go shopping and go to work. For some women, like Rachel's thing is, I want to play my part. So I'm going to let you do those things that we might call man things. I can do that on my own.
Right.
Go get the oil change in the car and getting expected and stuff. But she's not liking the fact that, like, he wants to do everything. Like, I've been living a long time before I came to you. I've been doing this stuff, so.
Yeah, I think it's a cultural thing too, and I think and when men come into a relationship, you realize that they have been doing some of the things before they come into you. And I think women have to realize too that men were doing some things before they got to you. And then in a relationship, there may be one who likes to do the other. There may be one who likes to cook, and it may be the man who enjoys to throw down and enjoy the cook, and not necessarily have to be women. I think when you talk about gender roles, I think that's one of the issues in today's society that I'm not saying people being stuck traditional ways is bad. I'm not saying not being non-traditional is bad, but you have to compromise and fit what works for your relationship, and you have to discuss that, because if you don't discuss that, somebody could be sitting there salty and mad because you're doing everything.
The only other thing we want to talk about with Jose and Rachel is the couples have a whole discussion about an array of stuff, and even when they do the never have I ever and stuff. And so Rachel says, with this conversation with Bao and Johnny, her concern is, which I thought it would be flipped. She's like, we're so emotional, with the emotional connection, and I don't want us to be physically connected, like, way down the road.
Yeah.
And Jose was kind of looking like Myrla, like, nah, I want to make sure everything is straight before we consummate the marriage. And Rachel was kind of looking like, I ain't trying to wait no long time.
His audio and video aren't matching up.
And that's what I said. All this kissing and rubbing and hugging you doing, and you're the one that want to leave the poking for later. Yeah. I was surprised.
I think he's going along with what she's trying. I think he's trying to, because in his vows he said he wanted a wife who's sexually attractive.
That's what I'm saying.
He wants the sex thing, but again, he's willing to wait till he gets home to see if it works out. I understand the honeymoon is not he's not really big on the honeymoon, but if it gets to 6 months, I think he have an issue. If he gets to 4 months, I think he have an issue. I think they do consummate their marriage when they get home. Then I think things may go south because she mentioned she's a hoarder, and he doesn't like that.
Oh, and he said physical intimacy is very, very, very important to him. And her thing was like, okay, so what if we get into this and it's not what you expect it to be?
Yeah, what if the sex not right?
She was like, she kind of said it like, that might be a deal breaker for me. Listen, that's for a whole nother time.
What if you can't, I'm
about to say,
Haley, and what do you like?
It gotta be there is ways that you can fix it.
What if it's trash like Haley and Jake?
It's ways that you can fix it.
Maybe she don't want to train and teach.
It's ways. It's ways that you can fix it.
It is not, but I really, for real.
Now, we ain't fixing length and depth. That ain't gonna change. But
there's ways that you can compensate for that.
It's ways around it. I think
they got to be willing to put in the work. They got to be willing to put in the work with that. I think the experts don't talk about that as much. I think when it comes to that, they have to be some discussions about it because you just can't hop into it. Okay, I need to know if I'm not into whips and chains and stuff, and you break out
like Johnny. If I'm just into pretty vanilla sex,
or like Beth basic Caucasian sex, then let it be what it is. But now you come surprise me with whips and chains and some hot wax and all this other stuff. Hold on for a minute. Wait a minute, partner. I'm not into that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We ain't doing that. But again, that conversation has to be had. In order for them to not just jump into bed, to know what the other person likes, so they can make it an enjoyable moment, and that the first time with your wife, not your first time overall, but your first time with your wife is enjoyable and is pleasurable to them.
Yeah.
Or to the husband, pleasurable to each other. I'm not going to say...
Yes, please each other.
Yeah, please each other. Don't be selfish.
Brett and Ryan.
Brett and Ryan.
And so we already know that Brett freaked out on a plane. We're getting to know that Brett is kind of like Henry, but Henry's wasn't for fear. Henry, on a previous season, Henry was just, I hadn't done it before.
Right.
His favorite vacation place was Virginia. That was funny. But Brett's thing is fearful of like stuff, doing stuff like it's something in the water, whatever. So they go kayaking. She's like, I don't know about going kayaking. He's like, I hope we see some manatees. And she was like, stuff in the water. She was like, I have an irrational fear of everything in the water. And Ryan's already like, oh, please, God, don't let this be like on the plane. He said that with his face. He didn't say it out loud, but he was like, oh, gosh.
Yeah, nobody wants anybody yelling on honeymoon. You freaking out about everything.
But she says, I feel like the way you kind of calm me down on the plane, like you could calm me down in anything, so I'll be okay.
Yeah, but I want to calm you down in every situation.
Yeah.
That gets frustrating. It's tiring. I don't want to calm you down every time we go to do something.
But the one thing he did say is that, if you get locked up and you get scared, we can always leave. I don't want to put you in a situation where you're going to...
Yeah.
Basically, this is what it sounded like to me. I'm not going to put you in a situation where you go act like a maniac. Like you did on the plane. You're not going to embarrass me. Yeah, I will leave first.
That's what I was going to use. You're not going to embarrass me.
I will leave first. I'm not.
If I see that getting ready to raise up, we got to go.
I'm not doing that.
Nope.
So, but they go kayaking, and she does well.
Very well.
She does well, and then he's like...
He went the manatee right beside her.
Yeah, but he was like, look, it's the manatee. She's like, yeah, no, I'm not looking. I'm not doing that. So she did good overall, and like she said before, he did a good job of calming her down and encouraging her. But the one thing we did find, she doesn't like the stuff in the water, but he has a problem with pelicans, apparently.
Yeah,
he kept saying, keep the pelicans away from me.
He don't like birds.
At the end, when they're packing up, I guess she got a stuffed animal pelican. He was like, you can leave that.
You can leave that, yeah.
Don't want that.
But he's very adventurous because when the couples went out on the boat, he did the paddle boating by himself, and he was out there having a great moment. At first, it was great and enjoying himself, enjoying his moment. There was a little shakiness, uneasiness with them because when all the couples got together, they talked about politics. And she mentioned later on in the show that she really wasn't into politics until all the things started happening close to the past election. All the things that was going on in the world. She didn't go into it, but we talking about the George Floyd, the social injustice, talked about, mentioning the president, Donald Trump, all that stuff that she started to get into because the world was changing. Now, Gil brings the conversation up, and you know, and she like, I don't know if I can deal with the fact that we on two different political ends. We see that with Virginia and Eric from last season, where Virginia and Eric were having issues because of social injustice thing that was going on in the political climate. But you know, she later on she comes back and talks to Ryan about how she's feeling, and he's like, I'm glad you brought that up. And he told her, like, it doesn't really mean nothing to me. That doesn't define who I am. It's just some issues. It's good, you know, controversial issues. That doesn't matter. And I think that's where sometimes if couples can get like that or people get like that, we can have two different political views and still manage. You can be on the left and I can be on the right. You know, you can be blue, you can be red, and we can still manage as husband and wife and live peacefully.
Yeah, but I think, you know, people look at it as, okay, this is your political view, so this is your personality. This is how, even when we had the conversation previously with Clara and Ryan. So Ryan was religious, he was rooted and grounded in that, and Clara grew up in it, but it got turned off by it. And so it was like, some of those things are like fundamental because it really is representative of who you are. So if that's your political party, and usually those are the values that you go with, and so it might not agree with my values, and so we're on two different planes and we might not be able to get together. It depends on how deeply rooted you are in those things. And is it just I'm just with that party, or is it like we've talked about with some of our friends, like, okay, so I go on the issues. Like, I don't necessarily like this candidate, but I roll with the issues. You know, I agree with the way they do these issues. You know, so she was very tense when they had that conversation, and I think it's still going to be an issue going forward, because it's not just that. Like she said when she was with the women, she was like, my husband's very outdoorsy. He does the hunting thing. You know, he's from a small town. He does country music. And I don't do none of that. And so she's trying to figure out why they got matched then, because it's so many differences. It's not, when they're together, it's not something that's noticeable and causes a friction rub. Because their personalities are vibing. But she's concerned that fundamentally when it gets to this stuff, we're going to have an issue. We're going
to have an issue. And so I think she mentioned too that if they were dating, she would have left.
Yeah.
That she wouldn't have been able to do it.
He would have left too if they were dating. Yeah.
Oh, he would have left too. So. But they had a discussion later, you know, about making beds and not into that. You know, he like, I just pulled a comforter up. So there's some things that they're gonna work on when they get back home to see. This is a couple that I know that all the couples you want to see. I really want to see how they work out with their schedules when they get to the house.
Yeah.
When they get to the apartment.
Yeah. So we'll just backtrack a little because we kind of came back there. When the couples all got together, you know, they had a conversation about, you know, what if y'all learned about each other? And Bao is like, you know, I know that me and Johnny, we have some commonalities, but we do have some differences. And she said, you know, that he's a great communicator and he's thoughtful and open, and she likes that. And Johnny says how they've had difficult discussions, but they've been able to make it through. What's the hardest conversation? Hardest convo they had, you know, Brett talks about that they haven't gotten into those harder conversations about money and changing names and moving in and stuff. They haven't really delved into that, so they're gonna have to go there. Whereas we know Myrla and Gil have, Jose and Rachel have, and Bao and Johnny have some. Yeah. And but Gil does say there are some things they haven't talked about, and that's what the political thing. And Gil was that person more like Ryan. It's like, you know, it don't matter if we had different political views. I'm not gonna make that a deal breaker. Myrla was like, divorce check, please.
She like, I got.
She's like, I can't do it.
I don't have friends because of this election.
Yeah, she said I let some friends go because we didn't have the same political views.
Yeah.
So,
and but he was like, that's petty.
Yeah, he's like, I think that's a petty thing to let go. Yeah. But ultimately, truthfully, I think in the end, it's just a conversation. I don't think Gil and Myrla are that far off when it comes to their political views. I just can't see that. But obviously, Brett and Ryan,
but they're using Gil and they always pick somebody from the season. Gil is a question starter. He's the one that asks all the tough questions and all that type of stuff. And Gil is a question starter. Johnny tries. He asks a question about has anybody consummated a marriage yet?
And I love that question because I was thinking exactly like Brett. So they all got their money on
Rachel.
no, they said Bow and Johnny.
Bow and Johnny.
They were like, we would think it was Rachel and Jose, and Rachel was like, I know it looks like it because we all touchy feely and kissy. She was like, but no, we haven't. You know, we want
everybody wants that emotional intimacy.
Yes, everybody agreed with that. And so they were like, okay, so who do you think would consummate first? And they were like, Bow and Johnny. And Brett was like, I'm gonna put my money on the people that ain't even here.
He said, no, Brett, gotta go
Well,
back.
the person
He
is
said,
not here.
he said,
Ryan.
Ryan said, I would say myself, but that wouldn't be right. My wife's sitting right here.
He said, I wouldn't say that in front of her.
I wouldn't say it in front of her. But we forget about somebody, man. And he said it, and you're like, oh, dang, there is another couple.
No, that's who I was thinking. I would have said, we have prior knowledge.
Yeah.
We have knowledge that they don't, which is, we're assuming they did. I think that's a safe assumption.
No, they did.
That's what I said. I think it's a safe assumption that they did do it. So we had prior knowledge. But in that setting, I would have been like, I don't think it's none of us. It's probably them too. But Ryan said it for a different reason.
Because they've been apart, and he said they've been apart, away from each other. When they see each other, they're going to be so emotional, and they get caught up, and they can go ahead and do what they need to do. One thing about the couples did a lot of things together in this episode.
Yeah.
They went on the paddle. They went on the paddle boat, and Johnny almost got lost.
It was so funny because I was telling my husband, okay, so they're out on the paddle boat. Like, how do you turn? How will you be getting back? You know, he was like, you got to do this. And, and I was like, okay, all right. So just as I'm saying it, here's Johnny, doggone getting stranded in the middle of the freaking ocean.
Yeah.
Because Brett said, oh, nobody told Johnny how to turn, how to come back. I said, I just said that. Like, how do you get back? And it was looking kind of hectic. Johnny didn't look like he's going to make it back. But Johnny's a smart man. He was like, you know what? He fell off the paddle boat into the water. I said, it didn't look like he was panicking. I said it just like he said. It looked like he was like, okay, like he just had to get his bearings. Like, okay, what do I do now? I just need to figure out what to do. It's not like, oh my gosh, I can't swim. It was just like, I need to figure out what to do. So he got back on there and he made it back. Ryan was gonna. You got me doing it. Ryan was like, if you give me one, I can go out there and get him. And Bow was thinking about going out to get him. And it was like, Johnny made it back. It was slow going. They said, he gonna be hurt. You got to give him a massage later. But he made it back. Thank God.
He made it back.
And he didn't get hit by the boat that was going past.
Episode was not much drama. It's just good talking points. But again, when they get back, I think this is when you start to see all the chips laid out, begin to play out a little bit. Now, we didn't do this in the first couple of reviews, all right? Because we intentionally didn't do this, all right? Now they coming home, all right? Before we get to the home episode, who stays married? Who gets divorced? These are our picks. I know some of you guys have been waiting for it, but we're going to give you our picks now because the honeymoon is over and they're getting ready to go back home.
Okay. So I would like to say.
Okay, let's.
Bow and Johnny will stay together.
Okay.
Based on the previews, I would have said Jac and Michaela, but these previews, but I say Bow and Johnny will stay together. Okay. So normally I would say Jac and Michaela. Believe it or not, I think Brett and Ryan would. Yeah. I think they would. Jose and Rachel, I don't know, it's just, and I don't think it'll be nothing major, not like a blow up. It's just she just don't like the smothering. That's the word I was trying to state last time. He's smothery. So, and who else is left?
Myrla and Gil.
They ain't gonna stay together.
Alright.
I think they could do it. I think they could, but I don't think they will.
Jac and Michaela, because we saw Beth and Jamie and act crazy, and they still married to this day.
True.
I'm gonna say Jac and Michaela, at decision day, say yes. Alright, I'm gonna say they say yes. I'm gonna say that Bow and Johnny says no. Because I'm looking at Johnny's face with all this bathing situation and how picky he is. And what he said in one of his vignettes, we have a lot more ups. We have a lot more downs and ups and ups. He's going to be like, you know what? I can't do it. And so I'm going to say no on Bow and Johnny. And that hurts my heart. All right? Brett and Ryan, I'm still on the fence with them two. But I think that little small town situation in the country western and different political views is going to take a toll on them. So I'm going to say no. Myrla and Gil, I'm really on the fence with them. I think it can work. But I think she's going to say no. And he's going to say yes. And the last one.
Jose and Rachel.
Jose and Rachel? Oh no, because she's a hoarder and she don't take care of her money. And he's not going to like that. So in my case, the only couple that will actually stay together or say yes on decision day will be Jac and Michaela, just because crazy like crazy. I think she's going to be just crazy enough, and he just feels so bad enough about this COVID situation that he's going to stay with crazy. Now, if he blows up like, you know, Chris Rock said, two crazy people need to be together. And everybody thought Jamie and Beth wouldn't stay together because we saw her blow up and she flipped the table, and we get to see Hurricane K gonna come out. I think that's going to turn him on. And he likes Hurricane K.
Probably.
But I don't know how you survive next week not coming home.
We shall see.
We shall see. That's one thing you don't do. Don't stay out all night on any woman, but definitely don't stay out all night on an African American woman, and don't tell her.
But we'll have to get into that in the next episode, because my first thought too was, again, it's COVID season. Bruh, you just almost got me infected.
Where you going?
Who you hanging out with?
So let us know after the honeymoon. Let us know who do you think will stay together and why. Leave that comment in the comment section below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of our views. Make sure you check out the link in the description for Jac and Glen merchandise. Also check out Matrimony Thoughts as well. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for those in the chat box. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you down the road.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.